All right, we have our plan grid set up, and now we want to set up our levels. So we want to go to our elevation. So I'm going to go to my south elevation and zoom in on my levels over here. And in our template, we had set up 5 levels, and we want to update those to the ones that we're going to be using for this project. So if I pull this over, we're basically going to have 5 levels. A level 1 set at 0, then a top of beam, a level 2, a top of column, and a roof level. So we need to go in and update those levels to correspond with these. So that's what I'll be doing. If I zoom in, plan A1 is set to 0. We just want to rename that by clicking on it and changing that to level 1. And it's going to ask me if I want to rename the corresponding view, and I do. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't rename the duplicated view that we have. So we need to left click on that in our project browser, right click on it, and go to rename, and rename that to level 1 schematic. And click OK. Alright, so our next level is going to be the top of beam. So we will change plan A2 to top of beam. And it will rename the corresponding level right there. And this is just going to be a reference level, so we don't even need the views for that. So I'm going to go ahead and select top of beam and plan A2 schematic, and I'm going to just delete them. So the level remains, but there's just no plan corresponding to it. Now the elevation for this level is going to be 3290. So that's 3,290 millimeters. Hit enter and it sets that. The next level that we want is level 2. So I'm just going to rename this one level 2. Rename the corresponding view, which is plan A3. And then rename the schematic view over here in the project browser. Hit enter. And the next, the elevation for level 2, whoops, bane of my existence are those little things. The elevation for level 2 is going to be 3630. And if we scroll down, we can see that these overlap. So I'm going to pick the top of beam level line, and there's a little break that comes up. And when you see these breaks, if you click on them, it'll break those lines, and it'll give you some little blue dots that you can pull and adjust so you can read both of those. All right, our next level is going to be top of column. So I'm going to rename plan A4 to TOC. And the height, it's going to rename the plan A4 to top of column, and I'm going to delete plan A4 and top of column. So I don't really need those as plans. Reset the elevation to 6710. And got that one. And our last one is roof. So rename that to roof. Rename the corresponding view, and we don't have a schematic view for that one, so I just need to reset the elevation, which is 6990. Now even if these elevations aren't totally correct, we can always update them later. Go ahead and get rid of the overlap on this one, same way, hit the brake, and it will want to actually match these guys up. So there you go. Now all that's set up, we can go ahead and pull the crop box down, and we want to do that by adjusting our scope box. So right now the scope box is hidden by the crop region. So I'm going to uncrop this view, and I'm going to go ahead and hide the crop region, which will pull up our scope box, or our ability to see it, and I'll pick that and I'll drag that scope box down so it's just above the roof view, which works pretty well. The only thing is that our grids don't pull down with it, but we can actually select these grids. So I'm going to select them by doing a crossing box across the top of them, and they're actually grouped because they are in a array, and so I'm going to ungroup them from that array. And now it's going to let me set the scope box to them. So I'm going to go to scope box A, and it will now adjust itself to that scope box. If you like, you could recrop this and set it to the scope box by coming over to your properties dialog box and picking scope box A, and now that has been recropped and set to the scope box. Okay, so the next part, we'll be going in and putting in some walls now that we have our elevations and grids set up.